Oh man, feels bad. I thought I timed. I thought I timed getting up for a glass of water to hit that transition button after letting the title run. I was hoping I could get back right as the animation was going to cycle to its end. Missed it by like 5 seconds. Feels bad, man. All right. Well, hey, good morning, everyone. All one people awake with me this morning. Honestly, I'm not that surprised. It is 7:07 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. For any of you that are tuning in, welcome to just picking up kind of where we left off yesterday morning. We're going to do a little bit of writing, a little bit of planning. We're going to look at a map that yesterday. I got to figure out what I'm eating that's making me so burpy. We're going to look at the continent map that we had up yesterday, and we're going to zoom in a little bit to where I want the character of Yorn to be traveling, where I want him to go. I don't have a lot of that area really fleshed out, mostly because I've never run any games there and I've not written any story pieces there yet. That's typically how I do my writing. Is once I start really wide, just paint a very broad picture, and then I zoom in on like one part and start writing from there. And then when that part moves elsewhere, or I find a reason that I have to move elsewhere, that's when I'll go there. So a lot of this map is functionally empty. I've just got really broad points of interest. I mean, this continent is supposed to be quite massive. It's a continent, so a lot of what's, here, rather than just talk broadly about it, I could even show you what it is I am talking about. Hopefully, OBS is not going to play nice. Okay. give me a moment. Gotta figure out why OBS doesn't like this input. It's very unhelpful, OBS. Let's just do a different thing. Will you accept this input? No, you won't. Okay, maybe it's just that OBS does not like MS Paint. Maybe that's what it is. If I pull this up in Photoshop, will you accept this input? We're doing some technical streaming here. For those of you that, well, maybe it will accept it. Where did I put this at? There we go. All right, so we've got our map. Now, will you... Oh, maybe. Or maybe not. Hey, good morning, Nova. Good morning. Sorry, we're doing a little bit of technical difficulty streaming this morning. Trying to figure out why OBS does not like our nice inputs. I'm trying to show a map here on screen, but it's not wanting to. All right, you're gonna see some sausage being made here. Does this show up? Well, it shows Photoshop, but that's not helpful. Thanks, OBS. Thanks. I appreciate it. Maybe if we just pull up the Google Doc version of this. I'm fairly certain that I have a Google Doc version of this. Yeah, sorry, Nova. We'll get right to the actual stream here in just a minute. I thought I had this figured out, but I guess not. Here we go. If we pull that over, Will you accept this input, OBS? You wonderful, wonderful program. Oh, I think we have a winner. We just have to do all of the Google Docs. That's all we got to do. Just everything is Google Docs. We can't do anything else. Okay. There's that. And let's see if it shows up appropriately. Hey, there we go. All right, so sorry about all that. So here is our map that we were looking at briefly yesterday. The problem with yesterday was I couldn't show you where I was indicating on the map. So I think you should be able to see my cursor now, or at least I should be able to zoom in. There we go. That's a little more helpful. So this is the part of the map that we're going to be looking at today. So yesterday we were looking through and reading through our Last Descendants of Flame script. We were talking about the character of Yorn, the old, basically anthropomorphized piece of coal, this old man who has lived for a long time. He's experienced a lot of stuff, and he has traveled extensively across this continent. I don't think I want him to travel any more than just this continent, but maybe we'll get there. And we talked about how he is a little bit of a foil for our boy Jerome or Jeremy. Still haven't determined, even sleeping on it, talking to my housemate about it. Haven't determined how I want to pronounce his name. I could see it going both ways, Jeremy or Jerome. I'm split. So let me know what you prefer, Jeremy or Jerome Corman. A little kid from up in the northwest peninsula of this large continent here. So Yorn, I have not specified exactly in the story where he's from, but I thought either in the direct south here, either in this little town, not town, but this little city-state of Arbia, or maybe just the territory of Jula. As I was saying a few minutes ago, I have not really fleshed these areas out at all, because I haven't needed to up until this point. Hopefully I'm not the only one that writes this way. Like I said earlier, I tend to paint with really broad strokes, and then when I need to, I go in and fill in the details where needed. Comes from many years of playing D&D, and if I don't need it, I'm probably not going to flesh it out, and then I'm going to panic when the players ask me a question. That's how I've always done. So kind of what I want to do is I want to today make a little bit of a plan for this journey that Yorn is taking. As a bit of a reminder, thank you, Google Docs. I praised you a minute ago, and now you're going to make things difficult. Yesterday, we read through this description from an old beggar man that described to Yorn when Yorn was basically a kid. He described this tale, that is basically going to become Yorn's destiny. It's going to be the thing that he wants to do. So I'll just read that again here. The Mount's heart is real, my boy, and I have as seen it with mine own eyes. The soul of the tallest point of the world it is. The seed that sprouted the mountains of the north, the south, the east, and the west. The thing that lies at the core of what long before man was higher than the birds ever knew. It spawned the greatest peak of the world, and from it grew the rest. And to you, young prentice, I'll tell where it lies. Far from here, north of everything you've known, beyond friend and foe of countrymen lies a sea of steam and peril, where the tallest falls and largest rivers flow down. Below this body of water, so hot it would take your flesh from your bones, lies caverns and passageways deeper than man has ever delved, where the sun's light has never been imagined, where night is the rule and the air hardly stirs. Delve there, where the rock becomes warm, warm until hot, hot until burning. where the air begins to move again and is filled with gusts of miasma from unseen blazes. Deeper still, until again light becomes the rule, but not from the sun. And there, where the rock begins to move like the blood of the earth, surrounded by a great skeletal tree root, is the gem of creation. So Yorn is looking for the gem of creation. And this is basically as much as I have fleshed out what the gem of creation is. It is at least one of our story MacGuffins. What does it do? Supposedly, as I think I described just a little bit later on, supposedly it can turn someone basically into a god or into a deity. But, we don't actually need to define what it is. It's a MacGuffin. It's a thing that the main character wants, that probably other people in the story, or at least in the world, want. Supposedly, it is a thing of not just myth, but it is at least a thing of legend, and probably has legendary ability. So he is told of this thing when he is in his young formative years, and it really changes his it changes his goal from just living, learning, becoming proficient in his skills and his trade. As a reminder, Yorn is a builder. He's a smith, but he also learns many other things. He's very gifted with his hands. He can build things. He can just understand how things should be built, how they can be built. He has that innate knowledge, and he studies dutifully in his craft when he is young. Hopefully you guys are hearing the barking of our neighbor's dogs. They are also excited about the stream. If only they could understand. If those dogs could read, I think they'd have a much better time. So Yorn is a smith, and I want him, or I designed for him to travel from the far south of the continent and wrap his way northward to this inner portion here. This is the World Mount, which contains the Great Mount Sea, the Misted Vale, and a few we'll just call them cities. I have sort of fleshed the idea of some of these out. So like Cayenne is a elven hold, or at least as close as elves go. Zagirdal is dwarven, again, at least as close as dwarves go. While this is like a semi-traditional fantasy world, I've tried to not describe these characters just as dwarves or just as elves. So when they do come up, one of my goals is to make them seem less vastly special and more just like a worldly variety. Like, certainly they would have terms that might even just be elf or dwarf, but I want the people in the world to just kind of describe them as people, and maybe more refer to them by their where they live, and who they're related to, more so than what specific species they are supposed to come from. So let me bring the map back up. So the I guess we've lost Nova. Adios, Nova. It was fun to know you while it lasted, I suppose. I think I'm gonna give our mic just a little bit of a boost here, because I feel like I'm having to talk very loudly, and I don't want to have to do that. There we go. So hopefully this is a little easier for you guys to hear me and understand me. I'll only really know on the listen back. So, um, Yorn is going to be traveling to the World Mount. So I wish I was more gifted in art to be able to better illustrate what the design of what the World Mount is supposed to be. So the World Mount is supposed to be the remnants of an incredible. Um, it looks like a caldera. So effectively, you've got this large, um, basically an ocean, but it's really a lake fed by underground springs. I mean, this lake is uh, sea-sized. It's like the Great Lakes in the U.S. They hours to cross by boat. Um, and then you've got these large mountain ranges, tallest mountains of the continent. Really, the only mountains of the continent, although there are some um, scant ones that pop up elsewhere. But the caldera, it wasn't a volcano. Um, so while there is some thermal activity here that we would probably describe it as caldera, um, the intent is instead that this was once a mountain that was not a mountain. It was actually a earthen tree. So this whole range here is what remains basically of the stump of this tree. This tree, of course, stretched way up into the atmosphere. Um, and you might wonder, where did it fall? Is there any trace of it having fallen um, here on the map? I don't know yet. I don't know yet. Maybe in, again, painting broad strokes, maybe when we get here later, maybe we'll alter this map or we'll make another map that shows where the trunk fell. Hundreds to thousands, probably not hundreds, but tens of thousands of years prior to the current time. Or something that I'd kind of been kicking around is maybe the tree didn't fall. Maybe some astral power, some deity or whatever, chopped it down, ripped it out, and just took it somewhere, you know. Or who knows? Maybe it stayed there and crumbled down, and over time became the continent as it is. Haven't gotten there yet, but so that's basically that's where Yorn is going. He doesn't know exactly where here. He knows he needs to get to the Great Mount Sea. So the Great Mount Sea is a hot sea. Most of its water is warm. Certain parts of it are boiling hot. There are hot springs that are a part of it. And he knows that he needs to seek a way underneath of the Great Mount Sea because of this line. Below this body of water, so hot it would take your flesh from your bones, lies caverns and passageways deeper than man has ever delved. So he knows he needs to get under, or roughly underneath, the Great Mount Sea to find the Gem of Creation. Basically, in my mind, the Gem of Creation is the seed of this great earthen tree. So maybe you can kind of feel what the intent is of Yorn seeking this MacGuffin. He's seeking this thing that can turn, or that was the supposed seed of this great, huge, immense part of the world. Because, yeah, that will probably make him powerful. And as a reminder from yesterday, we are not so much designing Yorn that he wants this power for any nefarious purpose, but he sees that he has a lot of potential to use his proficiency with building and construction and smithing he sees that he could do a lot, but he can't do enough to affect the world in a good way. He has good intentions, and he recognizes, if I had the years, I could construct the world and repair the strains of time. So, hey, maybe if he becomes an immortal, maybe if he has the power of a god, then maybe he could actually affect change in the world. So that's who Yorn is, and we're wanting him to travel a long, 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 long distance. In my mind, so I've got these areas stretched out here. And I think what I'll do is I will come back up to the top of my document where I kind of have some broad story point notes for myself. And I think we will just do a little page return here, and we will hopefully play nice with, of course we won't. There we go. We will create a little bullet list to start our timeline. But I don't want to highlight. Thank you. So, Yorn's journey chart. Chart. Bam. So, let's just say he begins in Arbia. Why not? And I don't even know if it matters at this point that we describe anything about Arbia. I want to just get some broad strokes and describe his motion. I think what I like that we talked about yesterday was that the Lycian Empire had maybe just begun warring with the Elurian Vale nation. So as a brief descriptor, basically the Lycian peoples, which very soon also became the peoples from Valius, Rasig, and these two territories here, they determined after they kind of made this alliance, like, hey, we don't like being seconded to the Elurian peoples. We also don't like that the Elurian Vale has taken over the Baremaw Peninsula for a long time, and we don't like the way that they enslave their people, and yada, yada, yada. So they all started to try and unify more of this this area here, what I've called the Lesser Almar Wastes. And they then set off from Banath through the Shrouded Jungle, have this campaign that stretches past the Whitecap Mountains and basically ends here at Athanergal, which culminates in a really big war. But that big war hasn't happened yet in Yorn's youth. Instead, what I had initially thought was maybe Lycia wasn't even a blip on the map. It was just a small city-state at his young age. But I think I'm actually liking the idea that maybe it was a larger city-state that had already made some alliances, and they were starting to have some of the unification conflicts or the unification wars with these other territories, because that might add some tension to his journey. He would have to struggle with thinking of how to travel safely during conflict or wartime, and he would have to consider at certain points in his journey possibly altering what his route is to avoid conflict. So I think I want him to start as southward as possible, so that he's kind of as far away from this as he can be, but that he'll basically have to go through it to get here. I think what I really want him to do is to go from Arbia, right to Guradal, and then the mountain peoples would have a path through the mountains to get to their northern hold, Zagirdal, and from there he's in the Misted Vale. He just has to get to the Great Mount Sea. So let's just add those big points. Nope, thank you. I want bullet points. midpoint, Grodal, end point, Great Mount C. So I think what would make sense is because of like we've got this pretty obvious delineator here. The nearest city, state, or territory to him is Jula, and maybe he has already traveled once or twice to Jula. So we'll just say that he's going to go to Jula, travels first to Jula. He is somewhat familiar with the territory from previous travels and experience. Maybe he knows someone from there, that he learns of the extended conflict with Lycian expansionism. Sure, that works. So he travels first to Jula. He learns that maybe his initial plan of just going up the river to Ethigara is not, traveling up the river to Ethigara and then further traveling Valius and then Rassig is maybe not going to work. Further progress to over river and then Valius and Rassig may not be feasible. Detour needs to be made to avoid war. So that kind of sets up where we were in our reading yesterday. I don't actually know if I had ever specified where the little hamlet was that he had stopped in. So let's scroll through here a little bit. Let's see. So Garage Shale is where I've written him to be at. He had come here only as a small stop before his final push onward to reach the northward cleft and the stronghold kingdom of the mountain dwellers of Grodal. Okay, so that's right. So I had written that he had skirted around this body of water here eastward of Rassig. So I think it makes sense that his path would basically be Arbia, Jula, Ethigara, and then maybe he does take a boat up the river, but he doesn't actually stop in Valius. I think probably it would make sense that there's some sort of settlement here at this fork in the river. And from there, he is set with the determination or the question of, does he chance going up the river and having to portage closer to the earlier cleft, or does he try and come around the bend and just hope he doesn't fall into any problems being closer to Lycia? And I think probably what we'll do instead is he gets to this fork in the river, sees smoke in the distance or something, and says, okay, shoot, I guess we have to skirt the edge of the Negrigan desert, which, I don't know, probably has a border somewhere along here, something like that, because then that gives him a hard stop of, like, he can't go any further eastward, otherwise he may as well have just followed along the foot of the mountains, and swept up that way. But that would have been a probably much more difficult journey Speaking from experience, traveling in foothills and in the lower areas of mountains is much slower, much more difficult, especially than just taking a boat up the river or even just following the course of a river. I mean, there's big caveats there, but it's a little easier. He is somewhat familiar with the territory from previous travels and experience. Um, or no, this is not where I want this bullet point. Actually, maybe I do want that bullet point there. He planned not to follow. Oh my gosh, follow the Mount Falls northward. Oh my goodness, northward, because it would add time to his journey and would likely not be any safer. Yeah. So he first travels to Jula, plan not to follow Mount Falls northward because it would add time to his journey. He knows someone in Jula. Then further progress he determines has to be to Etigara over time or over river, and then from there travels. Gosh, today is not a good typing day. Travels northward against the current of the river toward Valius. Stops at River Fork Settlement and is forced to decide between skirting the edge of conflict zone further up river, or skirting the edge of the Negrigan Desert. Negrigan Desert. He opts for the latter, which is less dangerous, sort of. So that then brings us to where we're kind of at in the story. He learns of. Oh, actually, maybe we'll put this under the last point. He learns of a selection of hamlets and small enclaves east of, say, across the body of water it sits on, and heads in that direction, hoping to reach Garrett's Shale. And we'll determine why he wants to reach specifically Garrett's Shale eventually. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters right now for our purposes of just planning out this route and thinking of stuffs. And a lot of this, we may change a good bit of this as we go on. I just want to have something to plan around. eventually I think I'll probably just make a timeline graphic, basically. I've always kind of wanted to do this for any of my stories, be it ones that I'm writing specifically for the sake of writing, or for like D&D, Pathfinder, whatever, where I've wanted to um, create like infographics, motion graphics, stuff like that. Really, just for me, not even to share with the players, or I guess now I have an audience. Um, but I've always wanted to have stuff to just fill out like a lore book that I could flip through and go, ooh, pretty colors, flashy images, yay! I like this. Um, I think part of that is that's what I do for my day job. I'm a motion graphic animator and videographer and editor. So like a lot of the times I feel the need to have visuals, even where visuals don't matter, and debatably are less helpful. So I think maybe that will be a thing that I do, where I think I will probably turn this chart into a rising falling timeline chart, um, maybe even with some icons, character callouts, stuff like that, um, and add like a larger timeline, or maybe just put it on a segment of a larger like world timeline. That might be kind of cool. Kind of like the Wikipedia. Um, I think Wikipedia does that, don't they? I feel like I've seen. I feel like I've seen like a timeline thing on Wikipedia. Um, I think we'll leave ourselves a little note to see if there is. Look up Wikipedia timeline of events and link it. And we'll just add a little comment. Link. Come on. Comment. Thank you. Link it. All right, let's go back to. So he reaches Garrett's Shale, which I'm just gonna say is like right above the R of Minor Mount C, because like that distance is not terrible, from there compared to compared to there to here, Arbia to the R, and then R to Gurodal. That's not that bad. So then he goes from Garrett's Shale. And actually, what did we call? I had said that they had a different name for Garrett's Shale. What was it called? Was it Shaltham? Shaltham. Shaltham. It goes from Garrett's Shale, Shaltham, to Grodal, where he is faced with a challenging decision. So here's where we kind of reach our midpoint. And actually, this is where I feel a little bit of like anxiety hit looking at this plan. so oh god, I look at the number of pages that I have here, which I think is like 24 pages for this script so far. which to me, I see 24 pages and I go, wow, I mean, that's a lot. Good job, man. 24 page. And then I look at like this other script that I've got here, Jeremy's script, and that's call it 50 pages. And I go, wow, a little pat on the back. And I say, wow, good job. You've written 3/4 of 100 pages. Like you've done really good. That you're like a quarter of the way basically to a short book. And then I look at this plan and I see, holy cow. I have only written essentially this one part. And I realize I'm not even showing you what I'm highlighting. I have only written this part of this plan. So, I mean, if we math that out, this is 25 pages, 50, 70, we'll just say that's 75, we'll just say another 75, and then another, I don't know, 50, 75, 80. So, I mean, we've got like just 300 pages here for the beginning of this journey. And I'm now horrified. I am terrified of needing to write that much for this story. I don't think I've ever actually considered the scale of writing this story, especially because like I had thought maybe of having Jeremy, of having his story interweave, but holy cow, I don't know if I can do that. This would be like 1,000-page book. That's insane. Okay, we're not gonna think about it. We're just gonna, out of sight, out of mind. We don't see numbers. We can't even read. We can't even read. It's gonna be fine. So he goes from Garrett's Shale to Gurudal, where he is faced with a challenging decision. We had hinted in the writing so far that he had planned to winter in Gurudal, to be safe, make plans, etc. So why would he not? Why would he maybe not want to overwinter? I mean, certainly when you're in the mountains, and he's not from the mountains, so maybe that's a little part of it. Yorn is not from the mountains. He is unfamiliar with cold elevation. So why? Well, okay, let's look at our other notes up above here. So, yeah, the story of how Yorn the Smith of Ickershoes came to be so long-lived and so venerated by the three kobolds, Alurka, Bosmov, and Vadrix. Yorn searches for the mountain heart, a rooting gem said to contain the soul of the mountain. The mountain heart occasionally comes to him in visions. Eggmates, those guys, are lost in their home, quest for the power to revive their people and destroy the invaders that killed them. They meet while fleeing vicious and dark creatures, make a bond. Yorn begins. Okay, well, so here is where we talk about Alurka, Bosmov, and Wadrix. Or Vadrix? I don't know how I'd pronounce that. So these are three scalykin kobolds that I intended for Yorn to meet and befriend, or maybe it's the other way around, where they meet him and befriend him at some point in the story. I have like not even 3 pages of description of these characters, and it's all handwritten, so I can't really even show it to you. I don't even think I have it on. Do I even have it on the desk? I don't think it's in this tome of knowledge. Do I have? Oh, maybe I do. Let's see. So yeah, Alurka means something like small hide run. Bosmov something like bold head strong. Vadrix meaning something like mind open long. What else have I described about these people? That's basically it. Yeah, that's basically it on that little paper. I know I had another paper somewhere, but maybe it's in a different tome. But you know what? Here, while we're here, let's just add that little description of these characters in. Yep. Alurka, Wadrix, Bosmov. This may be where some of you look at my note taking here and say, "Why don't you use a different program?" Just because I'm lazy. I'm not deep enough into this yet that I think it's necessary. And also because I cannot be arsed to make time to learn another program other than just a simple word editor. I already have to know so many programs for work, and I don't want this to necessarily feel like work. I want this to be fun. And as long as I can keep it somewhat organized, it doesn't matter, right? So Alurka, we said, means something like small hide run. Bosmov means something like bold head strong. And Wadrix means something like mind open long. Let's not have those highlighted because that will bother me later. No thank you. I said no thank you. Bravo. The 3 scaly. Also, I wonder if even calling these scalykin like this will attract the weirds. And I say that with all the love. Those of you that are into anthropomorphized animalkin, that's cool, man. You do you. I just don't want my chat to get weird. I don't want people to think that I'm insinuating anything weird. I just worry about like co-opting terminology. So the 3 scalykin. Actually, probably now that I've put that out into the world, now that I've given it flesh through voicing it, I'm sure now it's going to be a problem. So the 3 scalykin meet Yorn somehow. And determine him to be key to their survival, revival of their kin. So what I remember of each of these characters that I define in that document that is somewhere in a long forgotten tome, probably somewhere in this expansive closet to my right. Excuse me. Alurka and Bosmov um, are foils of each other, and play off of each other's strengths well. All three of these are siblings, or more accurately, what did I? They're clutch mates. Yeah, clutch mates is what I described. Clutch mates. So they're all basically the same age. I don't know why I'm putting this here. It's maybe not the most helpful spot. Foil of each other and play off each other's strengths. Thank you, Google. Well, Wadrix is different and was born with the gift of, I guess, second sight. Psychic. Divination. Something like that. The three were able to escape the fate of their clan, and as a part of their escape, found or discovered a key to the MacGuffin. Let me just bold and underline that. So this is kind of what I was intending, was these three critters, these three slick and scaly bros, were going to basically confront Yorn with the meta need for community and the meta need to not be alone. Let's put this up there, and let's actually make that note, because I don't think I so long and venerated. Yorn, do a little. No, that's not what I want. Yorn learns from the experience with the clutch mates. Value of community, friends, and the detriments of isolation. Bam. We're gonna make this shit wholesome, fam. So Yorn learns from experience of the clutch mates' value of community, friends, and the detriments of isolation. So I think maybe here's a couple spots where it would make sense that he would encounter them. Maybe he encounters them in Guradal, and maybe that's one of the things that kind of drives him to leave during the winter, is these three Scalykin. Oh my god, can I 3 kobolds in a trench coat this interaction? I think I can 3 kobolds in a trench coat this interaction. That, I actually love the shit out of that. Midpoint, Guradal. Where do I put this? Oh God, I love this idea. Midpoint, grow a doll. Um, uh, or Yorn's journey takes a seat, and he is forced to stay in Gurodal, but he learns he is not the only one seeking the MacGuffin. Alternatively, he is being hunted for reasons and fears being caught while in Gurodal. Meets 3 kobolds in a trench coat. Meets 3 kobolds in a trench coat who have learned of his quest and seek his alliance. They tell him they know of a path to the north, which would safely, put that in big quotation marks, safely see them to the Mount C, which they say they know the entrance to MacGuffin pathway he seeks. Oh man, I'm actually excited to describe that interaction. So kind of what I see happening with 3 kobolds in a trench coat is the peoples of Gurodal are modeled after dwarves. They are basically dwarves. Dwarves in most lore that I know of D&D and beyond. Kobolds and dwarves don't necessarily get along. I mean, they kind of occupy the same areas. But what I'm going to say is kobolds are not illegal in Gurodal, but they are not explicitly welcome to stay. There's definitely a lot of I don't know what I want to call it. A little bit of racism towards the scaly folk from the rotund and large bearded folk of Gurodal. So maybe these 3 kobolds who are siblings, clutchmates, who have escaped the fate of their clan, have sought shelter in Gurodal and are maybe even trying to. Oh, actually, I even said that Vladrix has second sight, has divination. So 3 kobolds in a trench coat. Vladrix has foreseen in a vision the need to find Yorn. Add vision description To find Wadrix is foreseen in division. They need to find Yorn to save their clan. This is why they are in Gurodal. Also, it's safer than the wild. There we go. There we go. And we can keep adding memes into into our script because memes are never a problem. So let's take a short break because I have a full bladder from drinking entirely too much coffee and getting a little too excited about adding in 3 kobolds and a trench coat meme into our script here. We'll come back in about like 10 minutes just so I can go grab a drink of water or refill my coffee cup and make my heart suffer even more than it does on a normal day. And we'll be right back, and we will finish up the end point of our story where our cadre of Scalykin and Yorn get to the Great Mount Sea and travel into the deep, deep, dark underhive of the world to find the MacGuffin. We'll be right back. I say we'll be right back, and then OBS is like, no, you can't transition. That's not allowed. Okay, how about Okay, so it hasn't quite been 10 minutes, but everything got taken care of just fine. I see we have a couple new people in chat. Hello, new people. Awkward time to come come in when I leave stream for I don't know, like 8 minutes or something like that. But so hey, welcome. Hope you are enjoying. Um, hope you are enjoying the content here. Frankly, though, this is not so much about me making content. This is really just an excuse for me to talk out loud and to kind of bounce my ideas off of the universe. So actually, I did look at um, the Wikipedia, and they do kind of have charts. But in my 30 seconds googling to try and find the thing I was thinking of, the timeline of events that I was thinking of is not this, but this is kind of in the idea, kind of. So I'll have to do a little more googling to try and find the thing that I'm thinking of making for our script timeline. um, I'm really excited about this 3 kobolds in a trench coat idea. That might actually be one of the things I write the interaction of. The part of the script of this week is just Alurka, Wadrix, and shoot, what was the other one's name? Bosmov meeting Yorn and kind of doing that. Oh my god, who is this massive person that talks in this really strange dialect? They're wearing this amorphous looking cloak, and they seem to be kind of oafish, and they don't they don't walk very steadily. They kind of, are they drunk? Are they injured? What's the thing? And then like maybe he sees a tail poking out, and he gets suspicious of, oh my god, what sort of foul demon creature is this? And then maybe they have a pratfall basically, and they all fall out of the cloak, and then they have to go, oh, wah. I'm really loving that idea. So we're definitely going to go with it. That will almost certainly. I love trying to add comedy. I don't think I'm very good at writing comedy. I also don't think I'm very good at. Generally, I just don't think I'm very good at writing. But I don't think I'm very good at writing dialogue, especially. And so this will be a good chance to kind of work through adding not only comedy, but adding genuine interaction between very different people, different cultures, and in a situation that is comedic and dramatic at the same time, which I'm always a fan of, like dramatic comedy when it's done right. I'm not a big fan of like the Office style dramatic comedy where it's really more situational irony. Like situational irony can be good when it's not cringy, I think it's part of the main reason why I can't stand The Office or Community or shows like that where sure it's quotable, but it's just painful to watch because the whole time you're just oh god, I know people like that. I've been in that situation. I don't. That's not for me. I get why people like it. It's not for me. But it'll be a good exercise to write this interaction between these 4 characters, and I'm excited for it. So let's get back to the end of our little timeline that we're building here. So a little bit of a recap. So we started the journey. Yorn starts way down here in Arbia. He then journeys to Jula because he's somewhat familiar with the territory from previous travels and experience. And I suppose I could actually zoom this in a little bit more for you guys. because I'm certain that some of you are just watching this on small monitors or phones. So, journeys from Arbia to Jula. He knows somebody, or is at least familiar with the territory, and he learns that his original plan of just going to Etigara, then Valius, up through Rasig, etc., might not work because of extended conflict, Lycian expansion. So instead, he still decides to travel along the river, but he's going to stop at the fork east of Valius, where he again is met with the decision to either go upriver and hope that he can just not get in trouble, or skirt the edge of this desert and get up to little enclaves east of Rasig, across from this body of water that has yet to be named. If you have any ideas for what names you'd like to give to this body of water, feel free to let me know. I'm open to suggestion. Doesn't mean I'll take it, but I'm open to the suggestion. So he makes his way. Excuse me. I think I got a cat hair stuck in my throat. He makes his way from Garrett's Shale, which is what we've already written a bit about. We read a good bit of that yesterday, up to Guradal, which is kind of the midpoint of our story. And in Guradal, he meets with 3 kobolds in a trench coat. He meets with Alurka, Vosmov, and Wadrix, who tell him. Maybe they don't tell him that Wadrix has seen him in a vision, but they tell him that they know a path to the north, which would get them safely to the Mount Sea. So he agrees and says, "Hell yeah!" And they journey to the north. And I think what I want to have happen sort of instead, or so like initially I think he would have planned to go to Zagirdal, again have a little rest, and then straight up to the southern falls of the Great Mount Sea. Instead, I think the path that these 3 hooligans are going to take him through. Pardon me while I try and wash this cat hair down. We have a little black cat who is just a joy to be around. She's a lot of fun. But I slightly regret teaching her to ride on my shoulders, because that means that her hair just gets in my beard and my mustache. I end up inhaling like a pound of hair every day. It's probably not good for my health long term. She's probably poisoning me, trying to get me to give her more kibble, something like that. So instead of going to Zagirdal, I want to say that the scaly folk do not direct Yorn to Zagirdal. They don't actually know the way there. Instead, they lead him to, or not to, but maybe through a underground pathway once favored by their kin. This leads them out to the other side of the mountains, but it is also rife with problems. Problems. So I feel like I want to actually take a moment. I should have thought to pull this up earlier. Um, what is this thing called? Is this the oh goodness, of course I'm gonna try and pull up a picture of this creature. And nope, that's not the right creature. So there's a D&D creature that I had wanted. Did I write it in my tome here? It's about the fish. That's about the origin of the species. Now, I know I wrote it somewhere. I thought I would have wrote it in here. Let's see. Lost coals. So this is one of the problems of keeping all your notes in little, like, note compendiums like this. Even when you give yourself little, call-out flags, it doesn't mean that you'll be able to find what you're looking for very easily. Oh my goodness. What? Because I had like a list of like 4 different creatures that I wanted to take inspiration for this. Oh hell. Alright. Octopus creature in okay, that's actually not helpful at all. Was it the tentacled? I don't think it was the tentacled horror. What was this thing? It had it's whatever the creature is that has a big beak, just like an octopus, but it's like it's also got like the peak of like a squid. Hey, what's up, Happy Meal? How you doing? Maybe you could help me out with this. That one's okay. That's actually a pretty good username. I like that. So Happy Meal, I'm trying to remember this Pathfinder and D&D creature. It's basically like a giant octopus. It's like big tentacles, big beak, but it's got it doesn't live in the water. It lives in the Underdark. What the heck is this thing called? And it's got like a big squid head, if you know what I'm talking about. Because I want to... No, that's... I don't think it was the Tentamort either. It was a pretty high DC critter. Like this is pretty close, but I hate Pinterest. Pinterest does not help me. Yeah, none of these are... was it the Roper? No, not Cthulhu. No, much smaller. We're talking just like an Underdark critter. I want to say it was like DC 10. Maybe if I just search by aberrants in the bestiary, maybe that will help me out. Also, if you've never used the PFSRD, totally recommend it. It's not the aboleth. Oh goodness, it's been too long. Was it the Charybdis? I don't think. Spiny. No, it wasn't spiny. Or blobs of blubber. Is there more of a description? Oh, yeah, sailor. No, it's not an ocean critter. It's just in the Underdark. It's definitely not the carbuncle, although that's a good favorite of mine. Chelicerae. Um, Maybe it was a choker that I'm thinking of. Yeah, well, I mean, it's like an octopus. I mean, yeah, basically a land walking squid looking thing. Um, Underground predator often dwells in the outskirts of subterranean. Yeah, this is. Yeah, maybe it was just a choker that I was thinking of. Um, but that's not. Oh, that's just a dice tower. D&D choker. Um, no, that's not it. Dang. Massive spider. No, it's not a spider. I mean, we're getting closer. We're getting closer with a number of legs here. Was it a jewel? I don't think so. It wasn't a corpse orgy. Oh my god. Dark young. Oh. Was this it? The Decapus? Yeah. This might have been it. Hang on. Deck, puss, D&D. Okay, this was one of them. This was one of the horrid, awful critters. Yeah, this is what I had in my mind. But there's another one that instead of just a big face like this, it's got just a big beak. What was that called? Oh, come on. Where's it at? Fog Warden, no. I thought it was. Oh, the Grick. There it is. Not the Grieg, but the Grick. That's got to be it. Oh no, that's the worm. That's the worm. I didn't want the worm. What the heck was this thing called? I feel like I'm utterly insane. That I can't remember and can't find what this thing is called. It's not a naga. I think these are like the frog dudes, right? The Altiogs. 3-legged. I no, I don't think that was it. Oh, maybe the roper. Yeah. Okay. Although this doesn't have the beak that I was thinking of, but that's fine. Wait a minute. That's the conical creature's front, toothy mouth. Okay. Let's grab a picture of the roper. Okay, yeah. So, god awful thing of creation. Well, not even strictly creation. Oh, I'm sorry. I just realized you guys have not been looking at what I've been looking at. Here we go. Oh, thank you, Happy Meal. So I actually met Markiplier a bunch of years ago at a convention that we were both at for it's just hey, good to meet you kind of thing. But yeah, thanks. I'll take that as a compliment. Sort of a fun coincidence. We're basically the same age and from the same state. So really what I'm saying is we are one and the same person. I am Markiplier. Markiplier is me. I am his changeling half who is much less successful and much less good looking. So okay, so the critter that I was trying to find, or that I was trying to take inspiration from, is like like an inspirational cross between um, a decapus and a roper. So basically, that kind of this really big, um, ropey, tentacly, carnivorous and evil thing. Um, so like, I mean, again, we're taking inspiration from the games here. So, like the decapus, named for its resemblance to a ten-armed octopus, the strange decapus is one of many bizarre creatures that hail from the deepest caverns of the world. When they are encountered above ground, their affinity for forests, particularly enjoying clambering on tangled canopies, suggests that their original source might be some strange, deep underground cavern wherein magical jungles grow. I like that. I like that idea. I also like that they are fairly intelligent and that they are ambush predators. Um, I don't know that the creature that I want to actually include in my story, I don't know that I want it to have magic. I think I just want it to be a critter that is like malign of intention. Um, so, for instance, like the decapuses know how to speak, but it's like a mimicry thing. Maybe I'll bring that idea in. Maybe not. Lacks bones. It's got rubbery flesh. Favors humanoid flesh over all their food. Fond of a gnome flesh. That's awesome. I want. No, I'm not gonna say. I was gonna say I want the entire gnome population to be eaten by decapus. That's some berry lore that you'll have to both forgive me on and ask me more about at some other time. So, and I also don't want these things to be solitary. I want them, or maybe I do want them to be largely solitary, like the decapus. Let's reread the lore for the roper here. So again, ambush hunter. They have camouflage, alter shape of their body, hiding looks like a stalagmite. Can compress its body into a much more squat, boulder-like shape. Strands are not flesh, but a thick, semi-liquid material. Okay, so that's not what we want from their tentacles, but I do like the idea of them like secreting kind of a gross liquid or some sort of fetid, gross material. I don't know about 50 feet because that seems insanely large. Let's see. Most intelligent denizens of the deep caverns of the world. They don't create societies. So that's pretty much in there. Particularly interested in the philosophy of life and death. Oh, what a Oh man, I don't remember this from the lore. A roper can talk or argue for hours with those it initially sought merely to eat. That's actually pretty great. I like that idea. I mean, it's horrifying to think that this aberration. Wait, what do they speak? Oh, okay. So they speak bird and undercommon. Weird. Weird and awful and gross, and I'm not a fan. But yeah, I kind of love the idea that they could kind of like Gollum the situation of you get caught by one of these things and you start to wax poetic about life and death, and this horrid awful thing just says like, you have a point, but what about this? Have you read from such and such? Have you read Descartes? These things are awful. But yeah, so this is kind of the critters that I wanted to take inspiration from. And I think just so I don't have to like come back and find these guys again. Let me leave myself a little note in my script here. Problems. Scalykins clan was devoured by Decapus slash ropers. They followed them slash still live in the tunnels. Something like that. Yeah. So just so I have a remembrance point, and I have notes somewhere between like five or six different notebooks like this one here with stuff flittering in and out of it, which is sometimes helpful, usually not terribly so, because I say, oh yeah, I wrote it down, but I don't remember where. And then I have to go find it. So, Skeleton did not direct Yorn to Zagardal. They don't actually know the way there. Instead, they lead him through an underground pathway once favored by the kin. This leads them out to the other side of the mountains, but it also is rife with problems. They have to evade stomp the problems. And Yorn discovers part of why the kin are alone. And actually, this is a good point, I think, where we can even have him start to understand his lot compared to theirs. Yorn is confronted in meta on the differences of struggles between him choosing isolation and the kin choosing companionship and seeking community. Because again, I kind of want this to end. I want Yorn's character to kind of end with this desire. Like, he already sort of starts with this desire to, I don't think we even put it up here. We put it way down. Where did we put this thing? Yeah, we want him to have this ideal of, if I had the years, I could construct the world and repair the strains of time. We want him to have this desire to affect change. But I think we also want to show him not fully grasping how he could affect change until he kind of sees the error of his ways. I think we'll use the kin as the foil for his ways. So let me leave a little note for myself. Just have a bajillion indents for these bullets. Yorn's goal of If I had the time, power, etc., I could effect change in the world community. Is met with a more simple option. Seeking community brings the change in the world. Bam. And we'll workshop this a little more to make it more apt or professional sounding, but that's kind of the basic idea that I'm going with. So that's where they kind of get to. Skelly did not direct Yorn to Zagardal. They don't actually know the way there. Instead, these 3 kobolds in a trench coat lead him just directly north, more or less, and it brings them out into the Misted Vale. And I think we'll just say that oh my god. This lets them out into the Misted Vale, far from Zagardal. Miraculously close to the southern falls of the Great Mount Sea. Why is this all being... That's why. The journey up the falls can be simple. And then they reach the... Well, we'll just say the journey up the falls can be simple. Wadrix reveals more of their powers of divination. Uncovers the path to the MacGuffin. But I think this is where we have another moment of maybe a little bit of conflict between the kin and Yorn, where their goals are a little different than his. So I think that, let's see, do we want them to know about the MacGuffin, or do we want them to think that Yorn is the MacGuffin? Maybe, okay, so yeah, maybe this is where, you know, some of Wadrix's divination is not terribly accurate, not terribly helpful. So let's go back up to our notes about Wadrix here. So somehow, let's leave ourselves a little note there. Wadrix had a vision of a great and powerful builder whom could reconstruct their homeland and return their people to greatness. defeat all the baddies. Problems. Yeah. So Waters had a vision of a great and powerful builder whom could reconstruct their homeland and return their people to greatness to defeat the baddies' problem. Yep. Let's see. Had we said anything about them knowing? Okay, so they found and discovered a key to the MacGuffin. But let's say that they actually don't know of the MacGuffin. They do not know of the MacGuffin. Only that the pathway or the key will allow their divine envisioned Yorn to help them. And we will flush all of that out at some other time. It won't be now. Yeah, I like that, because this then leads to a little bit more of where the conflict could come in between these peeps. So, rife with problems, evade problems, lets them out in the Misted Vale next to the Southern Falls. They get up to the Great Mount Sea. Wadrix reveals some powers of divination. Maybe says something to the effect of like, "Oh, great builder, you will construct for us the way to the future," or some shit like that. Uncover the path to the MacGuffin. Without true knowledge of MacGuffin. Yorn determines he is yet suspicious. How the hell was it? Suspicious of Scaly Kin, as they have not revealed their intentions fully. They travel underground, and I think maybe even we just simplify it a little bit, that where they travel, maybe the trio actually just takes them to where they're, like, the outskirts of where their peoples used to be, and like shows like, "Oh, great builder, this is where we want to come back to," and like they point out like, look at all the death and destruction that these whack-ass creatures did to us. And maybe by like coincidence, nearby to there is where the where they have to go. I don't know. I feel like I'm running a little low on brain juice here. There we go. Do we want... Well, you know what? I think we don't actually have to finish this timeline. I don't think we do. I think we've got quite a lot of timeline content to dive through and add to. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I feel horrified thinking about basically all I've written so far is this. I've written a little bit of this. I mean, I guess most of this point. And that alone is 25 pages. Oh, God. So, like, this could be 400 pages, 500 pages. Oh, that's horrifying to think about. Like, it's not like I am setting myself any meter for how much I want to write or what amount of writing makes sense for this story, but it's just so daunting to look at what you have done and think, oh, well, what is the average? What is the average of most books you read? I wonder if there's even a metric on this. Average pages for fantasy novel. What? No, this doesn't make any... What? This doesn't make any sense. How many pages in a fantasy book? There are 200 single-space pages for a 100,000 word. Okay, I thought that said 200 to 100,000 page measure novels and pages per publication. Shorter end, 70,000 words. 140 pages. Okay. Well, on the one hand, that helps my brain a little bit. On the other hand, that hurts my brain even more, thinking if my math here is that this is going to be a 400-page book, then I'm on the long end for fantasy novels. Also, I think that says something about me, that most of the novels that I read are 300 to 400 pages long. Yeah. Maybe I'm just picking the wrong novels. But they're fun. I like them. I like the novels. All right. Well, I think that's where we're going to leave off today. I think we're just going to leave off with making the timeline, discovering that we're going to put a 3 kobolds in a trench coat meme is there... Oh, I wonder if there's even like a picture I can give. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Love when we can actually bring direct inspiration. We're going to bring 3 kobolds in a trench coat into the story. And that's going to be a fun key part of plot. For the record, I had not initially planned for this to be the joke. I just think that comedy comes in threes and good plot points can come in threes. And I like the idea of these 3 scaly kin being the last remnants of their clan and their peoples. So yeah, that's where we're going to leave off today. Thanks so much for tuning in and helping me bounce ideas out into the ether. Apparently, I have a new follower now, so that's pretty cool. To whoever you are, that's cool. Hope you come back. For Happy Meal, I was glad to chat with you for a few minutes while I tried to remember a not so obscure D&D monster. Makes me feel not very professional about my D&D knowledge. Makes me feel less so. And for the rest of you that tuned in briefly or who tuned in after the live stream, hey, thanks. Hope this was inspiring for you and hope you had some fun. I will be streaming again on Saturday and Sunday of the next week, and that's the plan from here on out. Basically, the schedule will be Saturday and Sunday, 7 a.m. to about 9 a.m. Eastern, because I'm based Eastern time, and I'm a morning person. So, until next time, we'll see if we can actually get the transition right for getting out of this. Until next time.